Hello, all my merry makers. I am Becca, and welcome to the second day of opening my advent calendar. Just like yesterday, I'm going to do a little bit before that to make it a little bit of a longer video so I feel like it's more enjoyable to y'all. So the thing I decided to talk about today is biggest, smallest, and most used. Alright, so what am I talking about? I am talking about crochet hooks, knitting needles. So, would you like to see my biggest crochet hook? I'm actually going to show you my two biggest. So these are my two biggest crochet hooks that I currently own. So, I'm trying to see the difference. Okay, there's only a small difference between these two. So, this is a PQ, as you can see. It's a clover. It is 15 millimeters, whereas this is a Boyd, and it says that it's solidly AQ, and it's 15.75 millimeters. I have not used these very often. Like the really, really thick blanket yarn. That's what I use these for. Alright. And then biggest knitting needles. I also grabbed the two biggest of those. So the first biggest... No, these are not drumsticks. These are knitting needles, and yes, they are huge. So that says 50. So I think this is a 50 millimeter knitting needle. You could seriously do some damage with this. And then my second, I don't see who the maker is on this. And based on how they look, I probably got them secondhand. Now, there's a difference between my first biggest and my second biggest. These are my second biggest. They're not as big by any stretch of the imagination. These are made from Boy as well, and they are 35 millimeters. The reason I have them is because I do want to try, I think it's either called broomstick knitting or broomstick crochet. Either way, that's what these are for. Now let's talk about smallest. So with crochet hooks, I do have the tiny crochet hooks for crochet thread. And I think the tiniest one is this one. And it says it is 1.4 millimeters. Now, I cannot tell you if I've ever used that, because I can't remember. I don't usually work with crochet thread. I do want to learn how to do the crochet thread where, you know, you make like placemats and stuff like that. That looks really cool to me. And then smallest knitting needles, I definitely use. And they're probably MIA right now because they're probably in a pair of socks. Yep, they're not in here. They're in a pair of socks. So my smallest knitting needles are, of course, ones and zeros. And I most often use those to knit socks. And since I've probably got, I want to say 3 different pairs of socks that are whips right now, that's probably why they're not where they belong. And then most used is actually the same for both knitting and crochet. For both knitting and crochet, I have a tendency to lean towards 4.5 to 6 millimeter size. Just seems to be where I gravitate. I do have I think I have one project right now which is using an 8 millimeter crochet hook, but all my other are basically within that range. So, and then as far as crochet hook style, I definitely prefer beveled. Inline definitely has its place, especially if I'm doing a rumagumi, just so I can stab it in there because I am crocheting tighter than I normally would. So there you go. Alright, who's ready to open bag number 2?
Let's get ready to open.
Alright. Bag number 2. Oh, it's red as well, but a different sort of red. So, in case you didn't see, this was yesterday's. So, and then there's today's. So this is more like autumnal reds and orange. Sorry, I dropped it, so now you get a up close of my face again. Where this is more of a cherry red. So, I wonder if we're going in order. Like I said yesterday, this reminded me of ours. Because it's the red planet. Wait, Mars is the 3rd planet. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to this, but there you go. It's a beautiful cherry red. Join me tomorrow. I'm still trying to think of what we're going to talk about tomorrow. I'll be thinking about it probably all day. If you liked this video, please give it a like. Feel free to comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Share me with your friends. And in the meantime, make what makes you merry. Ciao.